All right. Today I'm talking about the big one, alcohol. I know it gets a lot of us into trouble when it comes to our fitness goals, and it can be really hard to get it under control. So today I'm talking about some tips to maybe improve your alcohol intake, but still enjoy it, how to, what's best to drink and all that. So strap in, get ready for episode 254. Let's go.
The future of fitness.
How do you gain muscle mass?
Fitness is not complicated. It's simple when you break it down.
There's so much information out there.
No fads, no diets, just plain simple habits.
You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. For my return listeners, thank you. It means the world to me that you continue to tune into this podcast. If you have not followed us on YouTube, please go subscribe to the channel. I post a lot of good videos in there. Every week I've got a main video and then I've got smaller videos each week as well. So definitely go follow that and keep track of what I'm talking about on there. I demonstrate a lot of exercises and we're now over 600 videos on there. So there's pretty much a video on every topic you can imagine. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. So alcohol, I get it. I love me some whiskey and, I think we've all probably developed some really, let's say unhealthy habits, especially over 2020 with drinking. I was listening to a study the other day and how much alcohol is being consumed and purchased and all that has gone up significantly over the last year and a half. And I get it. There's a lot of stress. People are home. I love my kids to death, but when you're trapped in the house with them all the time, it can get a little unnerving. It really can. So, I don't think that you have to give up alcohol completely. Like I said, I love my whiskey. I get my whiskey in, but there are definitely some habits that you can build to help you with your consumption and maybe make some better choices with what liquors you are consuming. So first off, let's tackle beers. Now, beers are probably the worst alcohol you can consume. And the reason for that is just they're so high in calorie and you've got to drink quite a few of them to get a buzz, which most people are trying to get that buzz. And so you're going to usually consume a lot more of beer than you would of another product. And then when you add in that it's probably the highest in calories of anything, it's just a recipe for disaster, right? I would say if you're going to do beers, stick to your lighter beers in color. They're usually lower calorie. And then if you can get used to drinking a light beer, definitely do so. That's going to help a lot knock the calories down. There's a lot of good choices for light beers out there right now. And yeah, maybe go that route. Next is wine. Wine, again, is pretty high in calories, but wine does have some health benefits. It's probably the only alcohol out there that does have some actual health benefits. And that's another thing I want to just kind of get out there in the open. Let's be real. Alcohol is not something that's good for us. I'm not in any way trying to say that, so I just want to clarify that if there's any confusion. But wine's kind of the next big one. Wine's pretty high in calorie. Again, if you're going to have it, just moderate it. Keep it on the low as far as how much you consume. And typically, I'm not saying across the board, but typically, we don't sit down and drink a ton of wine at once. So that may be a little bit easier to keep under control as far as how much you drink. Moving on, seltzers are really popular and again, they're really high in calories. There's a lot of sugar added to them, a lot of other additives. So not only are you getting the negative effects from the alcohol, but you're getting the negative effects from a lot of them have coloring in it, a lot of them have sugar in it, and all the other added ingredients. So you're just adding on to not only the calorie count, but also how bad they are for you. Now, I will say they do make some low-calorie ones. I know Bud Light makes a seltzer that's I think it's 100 calories per can. So that's not bad if you're going to limit yourself to one or two. Again, just kind of choose wisely what you choose to drink. And then last is liquor. Liquor is probably, here's the thing. Per ounce, it has probably more calories than a beer, but you're not going to typically drink a crap ton of straight liquor, right? So liquor is usually my first choice when you're trying to get fit, get healthier, but still enjoy an alcoholic drink. And that doesn't mean you have to take straight shots of that. I love whiskey just poured over the rocks, but I get that that's not for everyone, and that's fine. There's lots of ways to spice up your liquor so that it tastes better. First off, if you've never done liquor, try some different ones. They make a lot of different different types. There's rums and tequilas and vodkas and so many different ones. And you can kind of spice them up a little bit. So a great way to do that is find one you like and then get some seltzer water. You can get some sugar-free sweetener, or you can get, those, well, again, it's sugar-free, but like the little lemonade packets with the powder, or the ones you squeeze into it. That's going to add some flavoring. It's going to have at least artificial sweetener in there to where you're not getting the calories in it, and that way you can kind of flavor up the liquor and get that buzz a lot quicker so you're not consuming near as much alcohol. So that's kind of one way to do it, to kind of change things up. I don't recommend mixing. A lot of people I know, and trust me, I get it. It's delicious. Mixing liquor with soda, but man, you're just skyrocketing the calories when you do that. So I wouldn't do that unless you are doing a 0-calorie soda. That is an option as well. So maybe Diet Coke or Diet Dr. Pepper or something like that is your thing. Pour an ounce of a rum or a whiskey in that, and it's going to be pretty dang good. You're going to get your alcohol in without all the crazy calories from drinking like several beers. So that's another option as well. Now, how do you structure your drinking habits? Because while it's important to pay attention to what you're drinking when it comes to that, it's also important to how you structure it. For me personally, the way I set up my kind of routine with drinking, I allow myself to drink twice a week. Usually that consists of Friday night is my drinking night, and also Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoons are just a very lazy time for us. It's one of the few times that both of my wife and I literally don't do anything. So it's a good time just to kind of relax, unwind a little bit in the afternoon before a new week starts. So that's kind of my 2 times. So by doing that, what I do is I set myself a window. So I say, okay, Friday, I'm going to wait till at least, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6. Just depends on how late I'm working, of course. But once I get home, usually that's when I will, allow myself to start drinking. So I'm not, even if I'm off on a Friday, I don't allow myself to drink earlier in the day. I'm like, okay, I'm going to save it for this window from 6 to 10 or whatever it is. By narrowing down your window, you're naturally going to narrow down how much you drink. Same thing is true for Sunday. I'll say, from 1 to 4, I'm going to, have a couple drinks, and then I'm going to cut it off. By doing this, you need to limit your days, because otherwise, it can get out of control and you'll have a drink every night. Like, I get it. I would probably be there if I wasn't into fitness. I'd probably have a little sip of whiskey every night. The second thing is, by narrowing it down to a window, you're naturally going to decrease how much you're going to consume. If you just say, well, Sunday's my drinking day, and you start at 11 and end at 8 o'clock, you're going to consume probably a lot of alcohol during that period. Whereas if you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to set myself a 3-hour window, 1 to 3, you're probably not going to consume near as much, because let's be real, you can only drink so much in a short amount of time, right? So figure out what days you want to be your drinking days. I would recommend keeping it at a minimum of 2. Figure out what your hours are, like your habits better than anybody. You know what time you typically drink. Maybe it's at nighttime for you, maybe it's afternoon, like whatever time it is, it doesn't matter. But pick that window, set it to about, I would say, maximum of 4, maximum 5 hours. 5 hours is probably pushing it, of how long you will drink in that. So set those certain days up, set those certain hours up, and then try to make a little bit better choices about the liquor you're consuming, and that will help. Now, another thing that I do on my drinking days, I know I'm going to be consuming extra calories with my drinking, so I do eat a little bit lighter that day. So for example, I usually have a snack in between breakfast and lunch. I usually have a snack between lunch and dinner. So what I do typically on my Fridays and my Sundays is I skip my snacks. I still have my meals, but I skip my snacks. So I'm bringing my overall calorie level down of what I've consumed, so that way I can enjoy the alcohol, and my calorie amount is still pretty close to the same. So I'm not, going crazy over. So just be smart about it, a lot for it. Set up those days, set up those windows, and then, kind of be smart about what liquor you're consuming. And then lastly, kind of avoid some snacks and stuff so that you're already under your calorie intake for the day when you start drinking. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives you some good information on how to still enjoy your alcoholic beverages without going crazy with it. If you found this helpful, please check us out online. We are everywhere at Bones to Bulk, whether TikTok or Instagram or Pinterest or YouTube or Facebook, whatever your platform of choice is. Find us on there, follow us, hit me up. Would love to communicate with you and connect with you, and that would be amazing. With that being said, remember, no matter what things you're facing, what obstacles you're trying to overcome, you can accomplish any goal that you set your mind to. You've got this.